Welcome to my English podcast.
Learn, practice, and speak with confidence.
Welcome to my English podcast, everybody. I'm Max, and I'm so excited you're here today. We've got a great episode planned, and it's all about something we can all improve. Spelling.
Hi everyone, I'm Mia. Spelling is super important because it helps your writing look clear and professional. Today we're going to share tips to make spelling easier, and we'll also teach you some cool English vocabulary along the way.
That's right, Mia. You'll learn new words and phrases while we talk about how to spell better. It's going to be a fun episode, and we promise you'll leave with tons of practical ideas you can use every day.
Absolutely, and we have a special guest to help us explore this topic. She's an expert in spelling and teaching English, so let's give a big welcome to Mrs. Tina.
Hello, Max and Mia, thanks for inviting me. I'm really excited to talk about spelling because it's a skill that helps you communicate clearly. It's also fun to learn new tricks to make spelling easier, so I can't wait to share some ideas with everyone.
We're thrilled you're here, Mrs. Tina, and I know our listeners are going to love this. So let's give everyone a quick preview of what's coming up in this episode.
Sure thing, Max. We're going to start by explaining why spelling matters in daily life. Then we'll dive into lots of practical tips to help you spell better, like how to remember tricky words or avoid common mistakes.
And I'll sprinkle in some English vocabulary lessons throughout our chat. You'll learn useful words like mnemonic and proofread, plus some fun phrases that tie into spelling. I'll make sure everything is clear and easy to understand for our listeners.
That sounds perfect. And we'll also share some personal stories, because let's be honest, spelling can be tricky sometimes. Our goal is to make this feel like a relaxed chat with friends, so you can enjoy learning while picking up new skills.
Exactly. So grab a coffee or a snack, get comfortable, and let's get started. We're going to have a great time exploring spelling tips and English vocabulary together.
All right, Mia, let's kick things off with a question that's probably on everyone's mind. Are you a good speller, or do you find it challenging like a lot of us do?
Honestly, Max, I'm okay at spelling, but I definitely make mistakes sometimes. One thing I always mix up is words like there and there, because they sound so similar and it's easy to pick the wrong one when I'm writing quickly.
I hear you, Mia. Those words get me too, and I bet a lot of our listeners struggle with them. Mrs. Tina, can you help us understand why those words are so tricky and what we can do about it?
I'd love to, Max. Those words are called homophones, which means they sound the same but have different spellings and meanings. For example, there shows possession like their house, while there refers to a place like over there, and there is short for they are. A simple trick is to pause before you write and ask yourself which meaning you need, then choose the right spelling.
That's such a helpful way to think about it, Mrs. Tina. I'm going to slow down and double check next time I write one of those words. What's another tip we can use to improve our spelling?
One of my favorite tips is to break long words into smaller parts because it makes them less overwhelming. Take a word like separate, which people often spell wrong as separate, but the correct way is separate. If you say it slowly like separate, it's easier to get the letters right.
Oh, I've definitely spelled separate wrong before, Mrs. Tina, so that trick is going to be a game changer for me. Mia, do you think saying words slowly like that will help you too?
For sure, Max. It feels like a simple way to make tough words more manageable. Mrs. Tina, is there a special name for tricks like that one?
There is, Mia. It's called a mnemonic, which is a tool to help you remember things. Breaking a word into parts is one kind of mnemonic, but there are lots of others we can use for spelling. For example, with the word weird, people sometimes write W-I-E-R-D, but it's actually W-E-I-R-D, so you can think we are weird to get it right.
That's so clever, Mrs. Tina. I love the phrase, "we are weird," because it's catchy, and now I'll never forget how to spell it. What's another mnemonic we can try for a different tricky word?
Here's a good one for definitely, which is another word people often mess up. Some write D-E-F-I-N-A-T-L-Y, but it's D-E-F-I-N-I-T-E-L-Y, so you can think it's definite with an I to remember the correct spelling.
That's awesome, Mrs. Tina. I've spelled definitely wrong before, so I'm writing that mnemonic down right now. Do you have any other tips for handling long or confusing words?
Reading a lot is one of the best ways to improve spelling, because the more you see words, the more your brain learns their patterns. You can read books, articles, or even posts on social media, and every time you see a word, it's like a little practice session for your memory.
That makes sense, Mrs. Tina. I read comics a lot. So does that count as practice too?
Absolutely, Max comics are great because they're full of words and pictures that help you remember. Mia, what kind of reading do you enjoy, and do you think it helps your spelling?
I love novels, Max, but I sometimes skip over hard words because I don't want to slow down. Mrs. Tina, is there a way to make those tough words stick in my mind when I'm reading?
Definitely, Mia, try this. When you come across a tricky word, write it down in a notebook. Say it out loud a few times, and then look at it again later to refresh your memory. It's like giving your brain extra chances to learn the word's spelling.
That sounds like a smart habit. To build Mia, I might start a notebook like that too. Mrs. Tina, is there a word we can learn for this kind of effort we're putting into spelling?
There is, Max. It's called practice, which we spell Practice in American English. In British English, the verb form is Practise, so you might see it both ways if you read books from different places. Practice just means doing something regularly to get better, like practicing spelling to make it easier over time.
I like that word, Mrs. Tina, and I'm glad it's the same spelling in American English because I don't want to mix things up. Max, have you ever had a spelling mistake that got you into trouble?
Oh, yeah, Mia, back in school. I wrote necessary wrong in a big essay because I used 3 S's instead of 2. It was so embarrassing when my teacher pointed it out, but I learned from it. Mrs. Tina, how do you spell necessary correctly?
I'm glad you learned from it, Max, and necessary is a tricky one, but it's Necessary with 2 S's and 1 C. A good way to remember is to say it slowly like necessary and count the letters as you go to make sure you get it right.
That's a great tip, Mrs. Tina. I'm going to practice saying necessary like that. I have a story too about a spelling mistake I made recently. I sent an email at work and spelled definitely wrong as DEFINATLY, and my boss noticed, but she was nice about it.
Don't worry, Mia, that's a common mistake, and you already know the mnemonic for definitely, so you're set now. Another tip is to use spell check on your phone or computer because it catches a lot of errors, but it's not perfect, so you still need to be careful.
Wait, Mrs. Tina, why isn't spell check perfect? I thought it fixed everything.
Good question, Max. Spell check is great, but it misses homophones like your and your because both are real words. It won't know if you used the wrong one for the sentence, so you have to check those yourself to make sure your writing makes sense.
That's good to know, Mrs. Tina, so we should use spell check, but also look over our work. Is there a word for checking our writing like that?
There is, Mia. It's called proofread, which means reading your writing carefully to find and fix mistakes. When you proofread, you look for spelling errors, wrong words, or anything else that doesn't look right before you share your work.
I like that word, proofread. Mrs. Tina, it makes me feel like a detective hunting for mistakes. I'm going to proofread my texts from now on, before I hit send.
Same here, Max. I sent a text last week with your instead of your, and my friend teased me about it. Mrs. Tina, can you remind us how to tell those two apart?
Happy to, Mia. Your short for you are like you're amazing, while your show something belongs to you like your phone. A quick trick is to read your sentence and see if your fits if it does use your with the apostrophe.
That's so clear, Mrs. Tina, like you're awesome for teaching us, and your tips are super helpful. Mia, do you feel like spelling is getting easier with these ideas?
Definitely, Max. I'm already feeling more confident and less scared of tricky words. Mrs. Tina, what's another way we can keep improving our spelling every day?
One fun way is to keep a spelling notebook where you write down words you find hard. For example, if separate or definitely trip you up, jot them down and review them regularly to build your memory.
A spelling notebook sounds cool. Mrs. Tina, I could use it to track words like necessary or weird. Mia, would you try something like that?
For sure, Max. I love writing things down, so a notebook would be perfect for me. Mrs. Tina, do you have any other fun ways to practice spelling?
I do, Mia. Try playing spelling games like crosswords, word searches, or apps on your phone. They're entertaining and they sneak in spelling practice without feeling like work, so you learn while having a good time.
I'm all about games, Mrs. Tina, so I'm definitely downloading a spelling app tonight. Are there any specific ones you recommend for our listeners?
There are tons out there, Max. Just search for spelling games or word puzzles in your app store. Pick one that looks fun and matches your level, whether you're a beginner or more advanced, and you'll find it's a great way to practice.
That sounds like something I'd enjoy too, Max. Maybe we can compare apps later. Mrs. Tina, is there a word for feeling good when you get your spelling right?
There is, Mia. It's confidence, which we spell Confidence. When you spell words correctly, you feel proud and sure of yourself, and that confidence grows the more you practice.
I love that word, Mrs. Tina. Confidence feels like the reward for all the spelling work. I'm starting to believe I can get better at this with practice.
That's the spirit, Max, and you're already doing great. Let's talk about another tricky word that comes up a lot, receive. People often mix up the letters, so let's clear it up.
Oh, I struggle with receive, Mrs. Tina. How do you spell it correctly?
Receive is R-E-C-E-I-V-E, and there's a handy rule to remember it. I before E except after C. Since receive has a C before the E and I, you put E first then I to get it right.
That rule is awesome, Mrs. Tina. So it's I before E except after C, like in receive. Does it work for other words too?
It does, Max. For example, believe is B-E-L-I-E-V-E with I before E because there's no C. But there are exceptions like weird, which we covered earlier, so always double check if you're unsure.
I'm writing down that rule, Mrs. Tina, because it makes words like receive and believe so much easier. What's another word we should watch out for?
Let's try accommodate, which is a tough one because it has double letters. It's A-C-C-O-M-M-O-D-A-T-E with 2 C's and 2 M's, and you can say it slowly like A-C-commemodate to keep the letters straight.
2 C's and 2 M's, got it. Mrs. Tina, I've seen accommodate in emails and always wondered if I spelled it right. Mia, have you ever struggled with that one?
Oh yeah, Max, I think I used one M once and it looked weird. Mrs. Tina, is there a trick to remember all those double letters?
A good trick is to think accommodate has room for extra letters, just like it means making room for someone. The 2 C's and 2 M's give it that extra space so it sticks in your mind.
That's so clever, Mrs. Tina. I'll think of extra room every time I write accommodate. What's another tip for spelling words like that?
Saying words out loud can really help because it lets you hear the sounds and match them to letters. Try it with accommodate. Say AC commemodate and picture the letters as you go to make them stick in your memory.
I like that, Mrs. Tina. It's like turning spelling into a little song. Max, do you ever say words out loud when you're writing?
Not really, Mia, but I'm going to start because it sounds fun and helpful. Mrs. Tina, can we learn a phrase that goes with breaking words down like that?
Sure, Max, the phrase is break it down, which means splitting something into smaller parts to make it easier. You can break down a word into syllables like we did with accommodate, or even break down a big task into steps.
I love that phrase, Mrs. Tina, break it down, feels so useful for spelling and other things too. I'm going to use it when I study.
That's a great idea, Mia, and it's a phrase you can use in everyday conversations. Let's try another tricky word, embarrass, which often catches people off guard.
Oh, I know embarrass, Mrs. Tina. Is it the one with 2 R's?
You're on the right track, Max. It's EMBARRASS with 2 R's and 2 S's. A fun way to remember is to think I'm really super shy, which gives you the RRSS for the middle part.
That's so funny, Mrs. Tina. I'm really super shy. For EMBARRASS is going to stick with me forever. Max, have you ever misspelled embarrass?
Probably, Mia. I remember writing it wrong in a thank you note once, and my friend noticed. Mrs. Tina, what's another word like that we should know?
Let's do occasion, which is OCCASION with 2 C's and 1 S. People sometimes add extra S's, but you can say OCCASION slowly to keep it straight and check the letters as you go.
2 C's, 1 S. Got it, Mrs. Tina. I use occasion a lot, so I'm glad to have it clear. Is there a related word we should learn too?
Good thinking, Mia. There's occasionally, which is OCCASIONALLY. It starts the same way but adds ally at the end, so group them together in your mind to make both easier.
That's smart, Mrs. Tina. I'll think of occasion and occasionally as a pair. Mia, do you have any other spelling stories to share?
I do, Max. Last year I wrote recommendation wrong in a school project because I used only one M. It was so frustrating, but I want to get it right now. Mrs. Tina, how do you spell that one?
I hear you, Mia. Recommendation is RECOMMENDATION with 2 M's and 1 C. Break it down like recommendation and say it a few times to lock it in your memory.
2 M's, 1 C. I'm writing that down, Mrs. Tina, because recommendation is a word I use a lot too. What's another tip for words with double letters like that?
Grouping similar words is a great strategy, Max, like recommendation and recommend, which is RECOMMEND. They share the same double M, so learning them together saves you effort and builds confidence.
I'm all about saving effort, Mrs. Tina. That tip is going to help me so much. Max, do you feel like you're getting the hang of these spelling tricks?
Definitely, Mia, I'm starting to see patterns in words, and it's making spelling feel less random. Mrs. Tina, what's one more tip we can use in everyday life?
Writing regularly is a fantastic way to practice spelling because the more you write, the more you think about words. Try writing emails, texts, or even a journal, and pay attention to your spelling each time to build good habits.
I like that idea. Mrs. Tina, I text my friends all day, so I'll start checking my spelling before I send. Mia, do you write a lot outside of work or school?
I do, Max. I keep a journal where I write about my day. And I think I'll use it to practice spelling now. Mrs. Tina, is there a word for making your writing look better with good spelling?
There is, Mia. It's polished, which means your writing looks clean and professional. Good spelling makes your work polished so it stands out in a great way, whether it's an email or a story.
Polished is such a cool word. Mrs. Tina, I want my writing to be polished from now on. I'm so motivated to keep practicing after this chat.
Same here, Max. I feel like I can tackle any word now with these tips. Mrs. Tina, you've made spelling so much fun and approachable for us.
Thank you both. I'm having a blast too, and I love how excited you are. Let's keep going with one more tip. Teach someone else a word you've learned because explaining it helps you remember it better.
That's a great idea. Mrs. Tina, I could teach my little brother how to spell weird and use the We Are Weird trick. Mia, who would you teach a word to?
Probably my best friend Max. She loves learning new things, so I'll share the definitely mnemonic with her. Mrs. Tina, is there a phrase for helping others learn like that?
There is, Mia. It's pay it forward, which means sharing something good with others. When you teach someone a spelling trick, you're paying it forward and helping them improve too.
I love pay it forward. Mrs. Tina, it feels like a way to make spelling a team effort. I'm ready to share these tips with everyone I know.
That's the spirit, Max, and it makes learning even more rewarding. Let's try one last tricky word for today. Conscience, which is about your sense of right and wrong.
Oh, that's a tough one, Mrs. Tina. How do you spell conscience?
It's Conscience, and the tricky part is the SCI in the middle. Think of it as your conscience saying I see to remember SCI and say conscience slowly to get it right.
That's a cool trick, Mrs. Tina. I see for SCI is going to help me with conscience. Mia, have you ever used that word in writing?
Not much, Max, but I want to now because it's such an interesting word. Mrs. Tina, what's one final tip to wrap up our spelling chat?
My final tip is to be patient with yourself because spelling takes time to master. Make small goals like learning one new word a day and celebrate your progress because every step forward counts.
That's such great advice. Mrs. Tina, I'm ready to take it one word at a time and keep getting better. Mia, are you feeling inspired too?
Totally, Max. I'm excited to use all these tips, and I know our listeners are too. Mrs. Tina, you've given us so much to work with today.
I'm thrilled to hear that, Max and Mia, you've both been amazing to chat with. Spelling is all about practice and fun tricks, so keep at it and you'll see big improvements.
Wow, we've covered so much today, Mia. Let's take a moment to review all the awesome words we learned.
Great idea, Max. I've got my notebook ready because Mrs. Tina taught us some fantastic vocabulary. Mrs. Tina, can you start us off with the first word?
Sure, Mia. The first word was homophone, which means words that sound the same but have different spellings and meanings like there, and there. It's a great word to know when you're working on spelling because it explains why some words are so tricky.
I'm definitely remembering homophone, Mrs. Tina, because it covers words I mix up all the time. What's the next word we learned?
Next was mnemonic, which is a tool to help you remember things like spelling tricks. For example, we used We Are Weird for WEIRD, and it's definite with an I for DEFINITELY to make those words easier.
I love mnemonics, Mrs. Tina. They make spelling feel like solving a puzzle. What word came after that one?
We talked about practice, which is PRACTICE in American English or PRACTISE as a verb in British English. It means doing something regularly to improve, like practicing spelling to get better over time.
Practice is such an important word, Mrs. Tina, and I'm glad we learned both spellings. What's another word from today?
Proofread was a big one, which means checking your writing for mistakes. When you proofread, you read slowly to catch spelling errors or wrong words so your work looks clean and clear.
I'm all about proofreading now, Mrs. Tina. It's like giving my writing a final polish. What's the next word we should review?
Confidence, which is CONFIDENCE, and it's that great feeling you get when you spell something right. The more you practice spelling, the more confidence you build in your skills.
Confidence is my favorite Mrs. Tina because it's what I want to feel every time I write. Did we learn any other words today?
We did, Max. Let's go through them. Accommodate, which is ACCOMMODATE with 2 C's and 2 M's for extra room. Then embarrass, which is EMBARRASS with 2 R's and 2 S's, like I'm really super shy.
Those are tricky ones, Mrs. Tina, but the tricks make them so much easier. What else did we cover?
Occasion, which is OCCASION with 2 C's and 1 S, and its cousin occasionally, which adds ally to the end. We also had recommendation, which is RECOMMENDATION with 2 M's and 1 C for suggesting something.
I'm writing all those down, Mrs. Tina, because they're words I want to get right. Was there one more word we learned?
Yes, Max. Conscience, which is CONSCIENCE with SCI in the middle, like I see, to guide your choices. That's a lot of words, but they're all useful for spelling and everyday English.
They really are, Mrs. Tina, and I'm excited to use them. Can we also review the phrases we learned today?
Of course, Mia. The first phrase was practice makes perfect, which means the more you work at something, the better you get. It's perfect for spelling because every bit of practice helps you improve.
I'm going to say practice makes perfect to myself every time I study spelling, Mrs. Tina. What's the next phrase?
Break it down, which means splitting something into smaller parts to make it easier, like breaking a word into syllables to spell it correctly. You can use it for spelling or any big task you want to tackle.
Break it down is so versatile, Mrs. Tina. I'm using it for everything now. Was there another phrase we talked about?
Yes, Mia, we had I before E except after C, which helps with words like receive and believe, but watch out for exceptions like weird. It's a classic spelling rule that saves you time when you're writing.
That rule is gold, Mrs. Tina. I'm memorizing I before E except after C right now. Did we have one more phrase?
We did, Max. Pay it forward, which means sharing something good with others, like teaching a friend a spelling trick. It's a way to spread knowledge and help everyone get better together.
Pay it forward is such a warm phrase, Mrs. Tina. I'm going to teach my friends these words and phrases. Max, are you planning to use these in your writing?
For sure, Mia. I'm already thinking about how to work confidence and break it down into my next school essay. Mrs. Tina, these words and phrases are going to make our English so much stronger.
I'm so glad to hear that, Max, and Mia, you're both doing amazing with these. Keep practicing them in your conversations and writing, and they'll become second nature before you know it.
Wow, Mia, this episode flew by, and we learned so much about spelling and English vocabulary. I'm honestly excited to start using all these tips in my writing.
Same here. Max spelling feels so much more approachable now thanks to Mrs. Tina. Let's do a quick recap of the spelling tips we covered for our listeners.
I'd love to, Mia. We started with breaking words into parts like separate to make them easier to spell. Then we talked about using mnemonics like we are weird for WEIRD, or it's definite with an I for DEFINITELY to remember tricky words.
We also learned to proofread our writing to catch mistakes before sharing it, and to read a lot, because seeing words helps our brains learn their spellings. I'm definitely going to read more comics with spelling in mind.
Don't forget playing spelling games like crosswords or apps because they make practice fun. We also talked about keeping a spelling notebook to track hard words like accommodate or recommendation so we can review them regularly.
That's right, Mia, and we said to say words out loud like ACCOMMODATE to hear the letters, and use spell check but double check homophones like your and your. Writing regularly like in emails or journals helps too because it gives you more chances to practice.
I loved the tip about teaching someone else a word, Mrs. Tina, because it helps us learn better and feels good to share. Oh, and being patient with ourselves, because spelling takes time and every small step counts.
Such a great summary, Max. Now let's recap the vocabulary because we learned some awesome words and phrases. Mrs. Tina, can you start us off?
Sure, Mia, we had homophone for words that sound the same but are spelled differently like there and there. Then mnemonic for memory tricks like I before E except after C, and practice for working regularly to improve.
We also learned proofread for checking our writing and confidence for feeling good about our skills. Plus accommodate with 2 C's and 2 M's, and embarrass with 2 R's and 2 S's for those double letter challenges.
Don't forget occasion and occasionally for special times, and recommendation for suggesting something. And conscience with SCI for our sense of right and wrong. which was a cool one to learn.
You both nailed it, and the phrases were practice makes perfect for getting better with effort. Break it down for splitting things into parts 1 before E, except after C for spelling rules, and pay it forward for sharing knowledge with others.
I'm so pumped to use all these, Mia, and I know our listeners are too. Mrs. Tina, any final advice for applying these tips in daily life?
Just keep it simple, Max, and Mia, start with 1 or 2 tips like proofreading your texts or saying words out loud. Try a new word from our list each week and use it in a sentence to make it yours. Small steps add up, and soon spelling will feel natural.
That's such great advice, Mrs. Tina. I'm ready to make spelling a part of my routine. Listeners, we hope you're as excited as we are to try these ideas out.
Totally, Mia. So here's our call to action. Please like and subscribe to my English podcast to keep learning with us. It really helps us reach more people who want to improve their English.
And leave a comment below. We'd love to hear your favorite spelling tip from today, or maybe a funny spelling mistake you've made. Max and I both shared ours, so you're in good company.
I read all your comments and they make me smile, so please share your thoughts. Your stories inspire us to keep creating episodes like this one for you.
Thanks so much for listening. Everyone, we had a blast talking about spelling and vocabulary today. Stay tuned for our next episode, because we've got another fun topic coming your way.
Absolutely. It's going to be awesome, so don't miss it. Mrs. Tina, thank you for being such an amazing guest and teaching us so much.
My pleasure, Max, and Mia, you're both wonderful hosts, and I had so much fun. Keep practicing your spelling, everyone, and I'll see you next time.
Bye for now, listeners. Take care and happy spelling.